Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be the second in our four-part series on how to pick a stock. If you haven't seen the first video in the series, I'll link that in the upper right corner of the video now. It's basically about circle of competence, and in essence that means picking companies that you truly understand. Today's video is going to be all about moats, and basically I'll explain what they are, the different types of moats that there are, and how they're useful when you're looking to pick a stock to purchase. So let's start off by defining what a moat is. If you're new to the stock market or to finance in general, probably the only type of moat that you've ever heard of is a castle moat, something like in this photo. And that's basically a body of water that surrounds the castle that protects it from invaders. If you talk about the stock market, moats are actually very similar. They're competitive advantages, durable competitive advantages that protect a company from its competition that are looking to take over its business. So these advantages need to be durable, which means they need to be very hard to overcome. And if they are very hard to overcome, obviously that's going to translate to stock value, which means your investment is going to be that much more secure. So let's talk about different types of moats and give examples of companies that employ those types of moats. So the first type of moat we're going to talk about is called a brand moat, and this is probably the most common type of moat and one that people generally understand the best. This type of moat results from the fact that people are generally more likely to buy a brand name product than they are to buy an off-brand product. To illustrate this type of moat, let's talk about Coca-Cola. So if someone prefers a Coca-Cola brand soda product, and they're given the choice between that Coca-Cola or an off-brand product, they're more likely to choose the Coca-Cola product because they know what they're getting, they trust the brand name. Often cases they're even willing to spend more money just to get that cola product. I'm sure there are many other types of products and companies that you can think of that have these types of brand moats. It's probably the most ubiquitous type of moat. So the next type of moat is what's called a secrets moat, or what I like to call a patent moat. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically a company that will use patents to prevent companies from directly copying what they're doing until the patent expires. You'll find this type of moat used a lot by pharmaceutical companies or drug companies, and they will patent their drugs, and other companies cannot copy them until that patent expires. So the third type of moat we'll talk about is called a monopoly moat, and this is basically a company that has complete control over a product or service, such that you'll need to actually go through them if you want to buy that product or service. And the best example I can think of something like this is energy companies. For example, where I live, we have a company called Fortis BC that controls the natural gas, and if you want to get natural gas in your home, you basically have to buy it through Fortis. So the next type of moat we'll talk about is a pane of switching or ecosystem moat. This type of moat comes into effect when switching to a competitor becomes way too difficult or time consuming, such that a customer will basically just stick to the original brand and go through all the pain of switching to their competitor. A good example of this is something like Apple. When switching from an Apple iPhone to, say, an Android phone, it may be a lot more difficult than it's worth, so the customer may just stick to the original Apple iPhone rather than switching. And this, of course, becomes even more difficult when you get involved in the Apple ecosystem. If you own multiple Apple products such as iPad, HomePod, or some of the Apple services like Apple Music, it becomes increasingly difficult and painful to switch from that ecosystem to an Android ecosystem. So the last type of moat we'll talk about is a pricing moat, and this is companies that have the lowest prices on products and services, and they have economies of scale such that their competitors can't offer those same products or services at that price. Some examples of companies that use these types of moats would be places like Walmart and Costco. Companies just can't sell the products at that low price. They don't have the economies of scale to offer the same prices as those types of places. So So I hope you now understand what moats are and the different types of moats that there are. Choosing a company that has a really good, strong moat is definitely a way to increase the confidence in your investment over the long term. Keep in mind that there are no moats that are completely impenetrable, but the stronger the moat, the more confidence that you're going to have going forward in your investment. Join us next time when we're going to talk about the third part of this series, which is going to be on the management of a company and how important that plays a role in your investment. See you next time.